Hello everyone, thanks for joining my channel. This is Walking in the Light with Ryan Nolan. I really appreciate you joining this channel right now. If you like this video, please go ahead and like or subscribe. I also have a donation link below in the description box if you're interested. And if you do that, I really appreciate it. All is welcome and appreciated. I wanted to get this video out there because there's a lot of things going on in the world that are really important within the spiritual realm that's manifesting here in the physical reality. And I wanted to kind of explain how important it is for us to all understand the one consciousness concept and how to apply that truth to ourselves in our own life, in our own reality, because it can make such a huge impact in our reality, and it'll allow us to transform into the best version of ourselves if we're able to incorporate the truth of what one consciousness truly means. And so with that being said, what one consciousness is, and what I wanted to express, and what God wanted me to tell everyone, is that one consciousness is synonymous with one energy. And what one energy is basically the integration of all souls. So all souls within the universe are integrated into one collective soul. That one collective soul is one energy or one consciousness. That one consciousness is resting within the infinite consciousness of God. So God is greater than the infinite consciousness that we are as a collective soul. So as we expand within God, our experiences expand as well. And that's the reason for the expansion of the universe. But bringing it back to the individual level on what it means when I was talking about one consciousness and one energy and how to apply that to your life, I think a lot of people understand that there is a concept that we're all connected. But they don't necessarily take it a step further to really understand what that means to them and how they can apply that knowledge to their life. And the way that I've been able to do it, and the way that I wanted to share with you, is to understand that there is nothing outside of yourself. That's the most important thing that you have to remember, and the most important thing that you have to understand, that the consciousness that you are is all that there is within the universe. So the idea that, there are people that compare themselves to other people. Of course, we all do that to a certain degree because we're all human beings. But what they don't realize is by comparing yourself to the other person or comparing yourself to whoever it might be, you're actually comparing yourself to an outside person or outside soul that doesn't exist. It's simply an illusion, because that outside soul that you're perceiving is simply another version of yourself or another level of consciousness of yourself. Because at all points in time, at every present moment, the reflection of the universe back to us is a different consciousness level that resides within us. Now, that consciousness that is reflected back to us could be the real-time consciousness that resides within us at that moment in time. But it's also very likely that it could be a consciousness that we've experienced in a past life, or it's consciousness that resides within us at a lower vibrational level. So that means that we're not going to recognize it as easily when we see it for ourselves at that moment in time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that every moment in time, we're looking at ourselves basically, but it's a different version of ourselves, and it may be a version of ourselves that we don't recognize. And that's where the real issue lies, is that when we don't see ourselves in someone else, or we don't see ourselves being reflected back to us in the experience that we're experiencing at that moment in time, we perceive that experience as being outside of who we are within ourselves. There's a separation that is created mentally and within our spirit, and that barrier creates separation. That separation then creates the consciousness reflected back to us that experience is outside of us when it's really not. So when we understand the truth of the matter, when we have infinite faith, when we understand that we're all connected as one, we will come to understand that even when we have those moments, like I do sometimes, we all do, when we have moments where we're fearful or we're anxious and we feel as though there's something happening to us that shouldn't happen, and that we have to control it, that we have to, put our guard up, we have to put our defenses up, or we have to mentally try to control the situation so that we're not put in any type of danger, because we feel as though we're out of control. If we don't control the situation, we're going to be out of control. I know we all feel that in some certain situations. That is all an illusion, because, like I said, everything is a reflection of who you are at every present moment. So it really comes down to being able to detach yourself from those moments and not make anything mean anything. And what I mean by that is, don't make judgments about what something means. And even when something good happens or something bad happens in your mind, if you're able to be neutral whether it's good or bad, whether it's perceived as good or bad, and you just can perceive every situation as being neutral, you'll be able to get to a point where there is no good, there is no bad, there is only you that you're experiencing. And when you're able to do that, you're able to take advantage of the energy that's available to you at every present moment and actually transform yourself to a greater version of yourself. And that's when God is able to really come into your life. And that's why we always say it's so important to surrender to God. And that's why in religion, when you hear people say it's important to surrender to Jesus, or it's important to surrender to God, that's what they mean. They mean not making anything mean anything. Don't make judgments about anything that you're experiencing. Simply allow things to play out without making things good or bad. Because as soon as you make something good and you judge something as being positive versus negative, you set yourself up for failure, because you're putting yourself in a situation where you're now judging situations, and you don't want to put yourself in that situation. So you really want to get to a point where you're neutral, where you accept things as it is. And when you're able to do that, like I said, the energy that's available to you is going to increase. Now, what does that mean? When you have the energy that is able to be accessible to you increases, and you're able to take advantage of that, you're now able to see things more clearly. Your mental capacity is higher. Your ability to feel and have intuitive knowledge is higher. Your ability to have emotional stability and not be, pushed over the edge one way or the other, or be moody, is higher. Your emotional stability is higher. All those levels within you that you strive to be, that you're trying to control, is actually done for you through God by surrendering to Him. So that's what one consciousness means. That's really, in layman's terms, how you can apply that concept of being interconnected with everything and within one energy to your life, is being able to surrender to the moment, knowing that you are everything that you experience. The other thing too that I wanted to mention is that there is only now. That's the only moment in time that exists, if you think about it. It's also the truth of the matter, because the past is simply just another version of who you already are, and the future hasn't happened yet. And the now is another version of who you are. And all the events that you see in your life, all the people that you interact with, make it appear as though it's something that you're experiencing different from the past. But it's simply the same thing that you've always experienced. It's simply yourself. And these events and these people that you interact with create the illusion that time is real. But as I've said in past videos, time is simply an illusion as well, because time is a repetitive present moment happening into infinity. And that present moment is simply one energy where everything's connected at once. And then the next present moment, everything's connected at once. And it looks as though everything's moving. But if you really think about it, what I like to do is bring up the example when it comes to time, as looking at the motion pictures of old in the 1950s, when they showed Mickey Mouse, and how that was one of the first, movies in motion pictures that they came up with. And I remember looking at some of the old movies, and what they did was they would just draw, Mickey Mouse, and they would draw him in a static position, and then they would show him in a static position with him slightly moved, and they would show him in another static position slightly moved. And when you look at those stilled frames in a consecutive order, it looks as though he's moving, right? That's exactly what's happening to us in this universe, is that everything is static in one present moment, and then it's static again, and then everything moves in between those static moments with faith, or spirit, as I like to call it. Spirit is really, our spirit body is within us, and it's moving from present moment to present moment based on our faith. But those present moments are actually still moments, or static moments, similar to what I was just talking about with Mickey Mouse. But applying that to the real world, that's exactly what's happening. And when you look at those moments consecutively into infinity, it does look like we're actually moving. But simply put, that is all an illusion. And it also backs up the idea that our ego is an illusion, because our body, once again, is simply not who we are. We're everything that there is, as I've explained just a second ago. So that's a lot to talk about. I know that's a lot. So I just wanted to get that out there, because I feel like if you can apply the one consciousness truth to your life, you're going to see benefits right away, because you'll be able to live with more acceptance in your heart, with a more open mind, because you're not going to be judging anything, like I said, because nothing's good or bad, right? So that means that you're not going to be judging anything, which means that you're going to have a higher acceptance for everything that you experience. You're going to have a greater, you're going to have an open mind, a greater, open mind to receive what it is that you're receiving from these present moments. And that's going to allow you to really learn how to accept things for what they are rather than trying to control everything. So that's what I have to say for tonight, and hopefully this is something that helped. If you have any comments, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to put more videos out here similar to this topic. I think this is fascinating to me, and I hope this is something that can really help people out there, especially during this time when there's a lot of chaotic stuff going on in the world, and it's hard to understand really what's real and what's not. Just know the most real thing that exists, and the only real thing that exists, is what's inside of you. Everything else is an illusion. And the only thing that really exists is what's inside of you, and that's the infinite consciousness, which is God. All right, well, hopefully you guys have a great night. I love you all. God bless you, and have a good night.